Boy, haven't the WikiLeaks Vault 7 revelations proven interesting. So it's proven interesting in the sense that it's confirmed what I've always suspected, in essence. To others, it'll be shocking. It's not shocking at all to me. The key lead story is the CIA, which I've largely referred to as the primary power fulcrum of the dark state. And it's quite clear that this is unrestrained, unrestricted by law, data collection, espionage without reason, without justification, bulk mass trawling machine that actually wants to be inside your smart TV. So they've quite strongly, and Samsung's come up terribly in this as a product. The smart TV, Samsung, has been shown essentially to have a fake sleep button, and it's essentially gives the owner the impression it's in off or standby mode, and in fact it's just in full-blown draft microphone audio reception mode. That's just one example in one single device. They have shown heavy approach, given the prestige nature of the Apple brand, investments in being able to scoop everything that goes to your Apple phone. Of course, they're all over Android. There's a music player set up by Joseph Cohen, and Mr. Cohen is shown to be someone who's actually worked for the government and worked on various bulk broadcasting Wi-Fi products. So he's selling a music player that you get through Google Play on your Android, so that this device and all of these can be in your Android phone or all other mechanisms, and it's essentially a Trojan virus. Interestingly, I did a long YouTube clip about the Khazarian history of Trojanism, and the whole thing went on too long, and I went into a lot of detail, and I didn't have a memory card, and I ran out of space, and I ended up not uploading it. But this guy meets the profile very perfectly of a culture of the seed of the serpent, for want of anything more clear, but that's as they were known, and how they were not the descendants of Shem, which was this eventually becomes known as the Semites, and are part of the Khazarian area that's in Georgia, between the Caspian and the southern Ukrainian, between Turkey, etc. area, who were prolific slave takers, which is one of the reasons why all the nation states, the sort of the high cheekboned and the blue-eyed and the Slavic are known as Slavic, because they were known as slave nation. Slavic stands for slave nation. And they were surrounded by this Khazarian empire, which is a slight overlap with Turk, but quite uniquely their own variety. Anyway, Joseph Cohen falls, I think, very suspiciously into that Eastern European crypto Judaism gets horribly tarnished by this. But anyway, this power structure has an unholy alliance with Freemasonry, and is thought to have seeded even the Jesuits, who were effectively assassins when the Roman Catholic Church has been broken up by the British King at that time. But anyway, that's a whole other bag of history. But it's worth noting, and I really, I'm not sure if it's space for me to go into lineage and the mechanisms, but one of the key mechanisms of these particular people, the Khazarian Empire, is Trojanism. Everything is Trojan. They Trojan a religion, they will Trojan a government, they will Trojan a national state, they will penetrate without, they will be the enemy within. They will go inside. So virus, the concept of virus and parasitic tendencies is absolutely their strategy, and they are completely amoral. And this is how I would describe the CIA. It comes to reflect the people that are controlling it, which are a combination of Freemasons, Khazarians, and Jesuit Christians. and they are ruthless. They want to embed in vehicles control systems and making technically possible to do the almost perfect assassination, which will have no fingerprints and no crime, so they can actually control a car remotely that you're driving in the new modern technologies that are in there. So they will Trojan in everything. They capture all your audio. I'm sure if they wanted to make a voice tape of me plotting killing you, they can take voice samples of what I'm doing right now on recordings on YouTube, and they could create that, planning to assassinate the Prime Minister or whatever. So the notion of how far these people have gone and the ability and the resources that they have at their disposal is absolutely no surprise to me, but may prove shocking to some of you. But the CIA, the dark state, and their work with MI5 and GCHQ, huge, huge, huge parallels. Many of the things tiptoeing around legal boundaries, doing it through UK law, etc., where they can get away with things they can't get away with in America, to do things that they really want. And then complete brazen absence of law. So the CIA have almost created their own NSA within there so that they can get around their own NSA. So they even eating each other. It's kind of like, these cobras. It's snake eating snake, it's difficult to sound and deliver a tube like this and to sound particularly positive about it. Apart from it is just confirmatory of the fact that your real government is not your government, which is something I've continually to asserted. There's an entire control structure that's been run through one of the key fulcrums being the secret services, the central banking cartel, and of course then into your commercial banks, and then that rolls into what I call lower middle management, which is actually government officials, and these have all been run, and these alleged innocent think tanks like Bilderberg and Club of 360 or whatever, Club of Rome, or all of these are all largely associations, a trilateral commission, etc., that are running your government. So it's no surprise. Now people have to make a decision. Software is either there to facilitate and provide a use for the user, or and is under the control over the user, or the user is under control of the software, which means the developer of the software is controlling the end user. So a lot of the things you're being sold and being made to pay for as acts of convenience, your online banking through your phone and all of this, it's acts of convenience, being able to make a call on the run, etc., serves in its convenience. It serves also the dark hand of the superstate, which is basically recording everything you say, sweeping for words. The most innocent thing is that they'll let it go commercially to know what you're thinking, and so that people can happen to be marketing on Google AdWords exactly that which you've been talking about. That's the most innocent thing. In other words, keeping you in your consumerist rut, spending and controlling your mind so that you're a slave without knowing you're a slave. But more critically, anybody who's has any form of activist profile is immediately profiled, put on lists, managed. Their followers will be tracked, and what degree they gain traction and how great an enemy they serve for the dark state and its tax extracting, rent extracting, and behavior controlling tools that they push your way. And this makes for a very, very closed circuit. In other words, your TV, your devices are your enemies. Your phone is your enemy. Your mobile phone is your enemy. Something as innocent, and they're planning to chip fridges and everything, under the guise of power control, and there will be some of that convenience and alleged efficiencies that will be passed on. But everything that takes a chip will take ability to record you where you go, and your cars. This whole notion of self-driving cars and all of that is to keep your destinations and to hear where you're going and to store all of that information, of course, the most innocent. But it could also mean it could arrange a car accident for you if you happen to be someone who's upset the control structure. Now, of course, that's not going to be proliferated on any great scale. They need you first to accept it and to see that accidents have gone down, and it will, and all those good things will look better on all those scales. But if it ever came to serve them, that is something that gives them many, many devices into you, till eventually you carry the chip in your body, the transhumanism agenda where, actually we can give you an arm that's even stronger than the arm you have, and you've had this accident, why don't we just put this part in? And of course there'll be CPUs and chips and circuitry. And all I can say to you is you have to never take the chip in you. At least you can walk away from a car. You can leave your phone at home. You need to get to a point. That said, the wireless systems, they are actually hack other wireless systems to spy on people in their arounds, so they can even use other people's kit to and wireless systems immensely. This is incredible to hack into other people's devices and everything. So you'd have to be entirely device free and away from kit and circuitry to actually escape the intrusion of this dark state. And this warns me how far they are going with their full solution of control. And it warns me this hacking is becoming well known. So my thinking on WikiLeaks is, could they be innocent and just giving us great news? Thank you very much. You're keeping us very informed, under the Snowden relations. Or is this part of the reveal? The great thing about these dark states is there seems to be a code that's which you've been told. They then don't have to have any empathy or sympathy for once they implement. In other words, they want you to be docile. They leak these things so that eventually, so many times it's been discussed and leaked, that people have apathy towards it. So when you find out these things are all 100% true, many of which I've suggested before, you have the masses actually have apathy. They think, yeah, they can record anything I do. What the hell, I'll carry on because I like my TV, my phone and all of this. You need to have your off-grid solution. And the fact that they're getting so deep and so under everybody's skin tells me we could be closer to the financial point when money, and they'll use hacking as an excuse. Rogue Russian hackers have nixed all the banks and everybody's accounts have been zeroed. We're going to have to switch to a uniform basic income, and we can't recall what you had in your banks, and it'll be impossible to go through everybody one for one and reinstate your balances, etc. So having off-grid money that is not in the ether, and I include Bitcoin as ether money, you need to have off-grid money. And it wouldn't surprise me if mints, in the same way I have suspicion about the new notes here in the UK having some form of tracking or technology for which they can have variable pricing in the future, or even a microchip, it wouldn't surprise me if in the future that even coins and items that you buy might have tracking devices inserted in them so that they can be recollected in by the dark state. Because the notion that they could come for your gold and silver, they're not going to let everybody escape into it. So, I don't know the answer to that at this juncture, and it would be quite expensive, but you're paying a premium of about 30% over the actual metal anyway. Many believe that's part and parcel because they're manipulating the price, and it's very difficult to buy at that price anyway. But if you go to Bullion Vault and you don't actually hold, and I have a link for that, by the way, on that I can tweet out for you, because I use a combination of that and having physically. But yeah, I would use Singapore, by the way, on the Bullion Vault. Keep it out of Western Europe and the US. No Toronto, no New York, no London for storage. But even still, they could all fall. So have physical on you too. But it's just a sad confirmation of how amazing these technologies are, and the convenience and the goodness that they could potentially bring to your life, that you have this outright psychopathic parasite that lives off the masses, that is a Trojan element, and through its lack of numbers, it desires to have extreme power. over you by having an asymmetry of information. In other words, every darkest moment and darkest statement I've ever made, they can have. Any of your weakest points in your life where you've done something maybe you're not proud of. It can all be recorded, shown. They might have camera footage. They may indeed even have vocal footage. And it can all be leveraged to be utilized on you. And in fact, if they don't, they can always manufacture it through the fact that they'll have your voice. You have fingerprints for swiping on your phone. You could be set up as a murderer with voice tapes and everything. And people that think that that's unrealistic and they're good guys, really, they just want this technology, well, just wait and see. Just wait and see. Every time we've thought it'll never be abused, it's gone on to be abused. Every time people denied that it's in existence, it's been proven to be in existence. There are no conspiracies when it comes to this. Everything is conspiracy fact. There are no theories. Everything we've suppositioned has turned out. And you have to realize you have an enemy in your home and who that enemy is. And you need to do things that protect you from a total grid down environment, because the internet is the way that they get into you. It gives you great benefits to run a business online and a variety of other things, but so in the same way, it is the Trojan horse that will get into every corner of your life. And you need to have maybe outage moments, outage days, where you're completely away. Go to Mozambique like I was, leave your phone at home, get off Wi-Fi, get off internet, talk. Then you can talk to people off the record if ever you have something sensitive to say. It's not like I have that much that I feel is particularly sensitive to say, apart from just resenting the intrusion that the state has. But the notion that, it's only if you've got things to hide that you need worry is proven many times over to be a false argument. Anything can be turned into a crime. In a country and a system where laws are laid upon laws, interpretations can be made that if it's required that you be criminalized, you will be criminalized. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting times, and it's something I would suggest you understand. The dark state needs that level of control, probably because their financial system is due to fail. And they need to know who's the problem in resisting against the system, and who's maybe taken clever action to escape it. They will try block all exits, but if you have gold and silver, certainly let me tell you, when the power goes down and I need things, I will happily receive your gold and silver if you need things from me, and I will pay gold and silver coins to receive water or anything like that in the extremities. I mean, I don't want to go into full bunker down moments, but be very, very careful about what you think is being heard and what you don't. I used to laugh at my parents when they used to say, we don't write things down in emails, we don't write things down, and we don't say certain things on the phone. And I always used to say, come on, and you behave as if everybody gives a flying faluting of what you've got to say on your daily chatter and nonsense. And unfortunately, they've proven quite right in time. Everything is of interest to the state that involves your comings and goings. And it's not that it's being listed, it could be searched for dangerous or keywords. But if ever they decided you were a problem, they have a database with everything you ever said and done. That's when they start searching and having a closer look. And that's when you can be found for breaking even the smallest of laws and criminalized, where other people who've broken far bigger laws do not even warrant their attention. Laws are only really relevant in terms of enforcement. So it's only the ones they select to enforce that have any liability. We've all broken many laws, all of you standing right there as innocent, thinking you're as innocent as hell. You've broken tons of laws. Don't worry about it. If they need you, they'll have you. And if they really, really need you and you're the Snow White, well, they'll just bend the rule and they'll get you anyway, or construct one that you've broken. So yeah, quite George Orwellian, and be warned. Be warned, be warned, be warned. I also wonder about the timing of this with Trump and the stock markets where they are. He's often done for mood things, so I'm not entirely wholly convinced that WikiLeaks is the possibility that WikiLeaks is just a controlled message deliverer in terms of the timing and many of the other things for the dark state. So it's how they get their message out, looking like they're disgusted and someone's hacked them, but maybe it's just another tentacle of the same machine. This way you've been told, and this way it's fair game for them in terms of their rules. Who knows? But be careful out there. All the best. Speak to you soon.